They were brought to a rocky shoreline on a busy street where they filmed this very large black suitcase lying on the rocks below, half submerged in the water, and they said it felt very creepy. I mean, when you view the video, you already know what's in the bag. Have you ever wondered about the origin of aliens, ghosts, or demons? Have you ever asked your priest or pastor if the Bible can explain these things, only to come away with no real answers? Well, I don't know about you, but I have. So I've spent 15 years researching these topics, and I've come away with a very compelling explanation for many of the world's mysteries. I want to start a conversation about the things your pastor is afraid to talk about. This is Audra Moore, and you're listening to Evil's Ancient Origins. So there's this app called Randonautica. It's an adventure app created during COVID that was all the rage among locked-in teenagers who dared to defy authority and venture out into the empty streets, seeking a novel experience. The app considers various parameters specified by the user and generates random coordinates, encouraging exploration and potentially a, quote, strange encounter. One of the specifications the app asks for is the user's intention. They're encouraged to visualize and then set an intention before they generate the coordinates. Their intention should be based on things like puppies, or a sensation of wonder, or even something like aliens. This is to be the theme that the adventure is set around, the basis for their journey. The creator of the app describes it as an attractor of strange things based on chaos theory. He invented Randonautica with the idea that breaking out of the repeating patterns of life will attract something strange, maybe even otherworldly, based on our intentions. Here's a bit of science to get us all on the same page. As a definition, chaos theory is a mathematical study of the behavior of complex systems that are highly sensitive to initial conditions leading to unpredictable outcomes. I know that's a lot of words, but stick with me. Now, according to Wikipedia, chaotic systems often settle into complex, non-repeating patterns called strange attractors. These strange attractors are the limiting states of chaotic systems and are often fractals. Taking it one step further, fractals are geometric shapes that exhibit self-similarity, meaning that they look similar at different scales of magnification, with repeating patterns at every level. This strange phenomenon is present in nature, with examples found in snowflakes, plants, trees, and even cloud formations. Fractals are very interesting. You should go look it up, but stick with me. So, the Randonautica program is run with a quantum random number generator, which supposedly leverages the inherent randomness of quantum mechanical processes like photon arrival times or quantum fluctuations to produce truly random numbers, unlike classical generators, which rely on algorithms, which are predictable, okay? So, there's a crazy spin on this seemingly harmless adventure app. The app had an impressive following for a little while there, with a thriving online community. The users shared their experiences through photos and videos on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Reddit, and some of their journeys have caused quite a stir. Users of Randonautica have claimed to have encountered all sorts of disturbing things on their adventures, and there's a slew of videos to back that up. One particular video has stuck with me throughout the years. It was of these teenagers who, having the intention of travel, followed the directions laid out by the app. They were brought to a rocky shoreline on a busy street where they filmed this very large black suitcase lying on the rocks below, half submerged in the water, and they said it felt very creepy. I mean, when you view the video, you already know what's in the bag. There's a body in that suitcase. You just know it. This event, or one like it, is mentioned on Randonautica's Wikipedia page. It states, with the app's popularity, users started reporting coincidences which many find unsettling. The most notable controversy involving a group of people heading to a beach in Duwamish Head, Puget Sound, West Seattle, per the app, right? And where they found a bag with 2 dead bodies, a 27-year-old male and a 36-year-old female, as reported by the Seattle police homicide detectives. In August 2020, police arrested and charged their landlord, Michael Lee Dudley, in connection with the murders. Unsettling indeed. But this wasn't the only account of nefarious encounters. There were locations that at first looked abandoned, but once they entered, there were signs of occult activities, right? Strange fort-like structures found hidden deep in wooded areas, and locations where the users experienced intense negative feelings, such as like fear or sorrow, and they had no real explanation as to why they were feeling them, right? So another video that stuck with me showed the interior of a car with the rear camera view displayed on the navigation screen. It showed a man at a distance approaching the vehicle from the rear. But when the person panned to view the rear window, there was no one there. The user panned back to the screen and the man was closer. Then they switched back to the rear window again, and there was no one there. The driver frantically puts the car in gear and then speeds away, right? I mean, this leaves an impression. So this is only a small sampling of the crazy adventures teens were having at the time. It seems as though the user's positive intentions aren't always a guarantee that the app will guide them on a pleasant journey. So, in my research, I've found that the app currently sits at only 2.9 stars, with reviews claiming that the app doesn't work like it used to. This makes me think that the creator stumbled upon something they weren't supposed to, some sort of chaos machine that at times gave the participant more than they had bargained for, and someone has pulled the proverbial plug on it. I remember when the app was first gaining notoriety, I was trying to grasp quantum mechanics at the time, and I had stumbled upon quantum computers and was trying to understand how they functioned. So at that time, I was interested in the app because it claimed to use a quantum computer to generate the coordinates. But as I'm looking it up now, it says that this isn't the case. No quantum computer is used. I wonder how they generate random quantum numbers without a quantum computer. I'm just not sure how that works. Anyway, Wikipedia describes the creator of the app as Joshua Langfelder, a then 29-year-old circus performer who aimed to help people break out of their predetermined realities through random exploration, imagining that people could influence random outcomes with their minds. He was inspired when he discovered a bot called Fatum Project, which is described as being linked to probability blind spots. The Fatum Project Reddit page states that probability blind spots are based on the idea that all things in the world are causally connected with each other, and everything that happens, including our thoughts, are usually determined by the sum of all environmental factors. So this makes the world close to being deterministic. The patterns arising in the network of these relations reduce even random actions to a limited set of possible outcomes. It goes on to say, this means that no matter what choices you make, no matter how many variations on how your day may pass, there are always some places where you simply cannot be, because none of the chains of your decisions leads you there. It states, it's interesting that such places may be somewhere nearby. On your street, there may be a lane in which you will never think to look, and you don't even know about its existence. What could be hiding in such blind spots? And what could be hiding in places where no one looks at all? This is the first question of our experiment. There may be magical creatures or aliens or a pile of garbage. No one knows for sure. It turns out that experiments based on the strange activity that this app demonstrates have been ongoing for decades. Their intention being to determine whether a unified consciousness exists. Even a few experiments that included a similar technological component. The Global Consciousness Project was an experiment started in 1998, privately funded through the Institute of Noetic Sciences. And as a reference, the definition of noetics is as follows: the science of intellect or of pure thought or reasoning, which originated in the 1870s. So, according to Wikipedia, the Institute of Noetic Sciences is an American nonprofit organization co-founded in 1973 by former astronaut Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man to have walked on the moon, along with investor Paul N. Temple and others interested in purported paranormal phenomenon. Now, the Global Consciousness Project was developed by Roger D. Nelson, who had previously been coordinator of research for Princeton's controversial Engineering Anomalies Research Laboratory, which was located on Princeton University campus from 1980 to 2002. According to Wikipedia, the Global Consciousness Project's methodology is based on the hypothesis that events which elicit widespread emotion or draw simultaneous attention of large numbers of people may affect the output of hardware random number generators in a statistically significant way. During Nelson's time at Princeton, he had deployed hardware random event generators called Field REG, which examined outputs before, during, and after, quote, highly focused or coherent group events. The events categorized as highly focused were such events as religious rituals, sports events, or theatrical presentations. Doesn't that remind you? Oh my gosh. Doesn't that remind you of, like, you know, that famous football event that happens once a year and all the controversial theatrical presentations during the halftime show, which have been purportedly religious rituals? So, in 1997, the project was extended to a global scale in order to collect data following the death of Princess Diana and other events that affected a broader audience. The Global Consciousness Project utilizes data collected from the already deployed Princeton Field REGs and is still in the process of attempting to record proof of the existence of a unified field of consciousness. Wikipedia states that the progenitors of the project feel that the data supports their hypothesis, but skeptics equating it to detecting a great disturbance in the force do not recognize the significance of the project's findings. Another organization that shows implications of crossing over into the spiritual side of reality is the WebBot Project, developed in 1997 by Cliff High and George Ure. Now, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It's spelled U-R-E. Ure. I'm trying to get it right. The WebBot is a web crawler that tracks keywords entered on the internet. In the beginning, the program was developed to predict activity in the stock market. Their thinking was that if they could find trends and detect indicators before the stock market reacted, then the information could be leveraged to benefit investors. According to Wikipedia, how it works is that internet bots monitor news articles, blogs, forums, and other forms of internet chatter. Words are assigned numeric values for emotional quantifiers such as duration, impact, immediacy, intensity, and other things. The words used are dynamic and change according to shifts in emotional tension and how people communicate those changes using the internet. So, a report is generated called the ALTA report, or ALTA, which stands for Asymmetrical Language Trend Analysis, and is currently available to their paid subscribers. Now, the algorithm they use has been kept secret, but they claim that it can predict future events, and not just in the stock market. Surprisingly enough, they have broadcasted some shockingly accurate predictions. A few of them include the U.S. Northwest blackout of 2003, the Indian Ocean earthquakes of 2004, as well as Hurricane Katrina and the devastation that it caused in 2005. Now, they've had some significant misses on a few predictions, including a massive earthquake in Vancouver that was expected in 2008, the complete collapse of the US dollar, which was expected in 2011, and a worldwide cataclysm in 2012, which was something like a pole shift or something similar to that was expected to devastate the planet. Now, I remember that the three missed events mentioned were weighing heavily on the hearts and minds of many people during their respective time frames. I mean, people were talking about these things on the internet, and we were all praying for a positive outcome. So that begs the question, is our collective consciousness picking up on something that is predetermined, or could it be merely a possible outcome? I mean, in light of this information, especially this last phenomenon, I think it proves that we can actually influence the outcome of reality with our collective thoughts, emotions, or even our communication alone. Any praying Christian would say, of course. I mean, the fervent, effectual prayer of a righteous man availeth much, right? I mean, that means, when you really have a heartfelt, passionate prayer about something, God hears it. It's going to be effective. And, we're not merely bound to the mercy of reality, but we're influencers of it. Words have power. Think of God speaking the whole universe into existence. I mean, we're created in His image. Wouldn't it stand to reason that we would hold that power as well? I mean, those who are in Christ Jesus. Romans 8:11 states that the same power that raised Christ from the dead dwells in you. Hebrews 11 verse 1 states that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And in Matthew 17 verse 20, Jesus says that if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will tell this mountain to move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing is impossible for you. The Bible has taught us all along that our intentions matter, and that collectively we can influence the outcome of things. I mean, this is the true power of prayer. It also says not to forsake the gathering together of the brethren, and that a 3-ply cord is not easily broken. In Matthew 18, verses 19 and 20, Jesus says that if 2 of you agree on earth about anything you ask, it will be done for you by my heavenly Father. I find it interesting that science is beginning to recognize this. Okay then, this is a simple conclusion to come to when you believe in prayer, but what about the opposite? The Bible states in Proverbs that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. God has given us free will. I mean, we choose. Right or wrong, good or bad, we choose. Do these experiments indicate that we can even affect an outcome with our strong negative emotions as well? For example, could our fears work collectively to cause a negative thing to occur? Is this the reason the words "fear not" are stated 170 times in the King James Version of the Bible? I believe it goes both ways. I mean, you can't claim that humanity is able to consciously affect an outcome without acknowledging that we could be subconsciously affecting it as well. I mean, if we can affect something for the better, doesn't it stand to reason that negative intentions can cause a negative outcome? Wouldn't this technically be the idea behind casting spells? If this is the case, then it should encourage us to be more careful about how we direct our intentions. Putting emphasis on positive change through prayer needs to be our top priority. Holding our tongue when tempted to speak something damning and setting aside our differences to come to a positive middle ground is in everyone's best interest. But what about those strange attractors Randonautica mentioned? Could this be evidence that when we step off of the path of God's covering, we step into the influence of a malevolent force? Our enemy is always waiting for his opportunity to steer us away from our protected covering or our perfect outcome. But the power is in your hands, so use it wisely. This is Audra Moore, and you're listening to Evil's Ancient Origins. Thanks for joining us today, and we hope you join us again next time when we start another conversation about the things your pastor is afraid to talk about.